Human nature. Okay, okay, Ryden. Fucking loser.
If I get cut off one more time, I'm gonna get annoyed. Okay, so there's no
Dream shit, bro. You can do it, bro. If it's for survival, just shoot, bro. Crash that bitch.
Okay, my OBS is back up now.
Okay, guys, there's no need to insult each other. Alright,
I haven't insulted him not one bit.
Do you have a problem with Dream judging?
I don't know this nigga. I don't know any validation for him, and I thought Jazz was judging.
I don't know Popo either, but I'm still okay with it. Like what?
I think it's
congratulations, but Popo was something that I went through your medium.
Through your medium.
I'm gonna be fair for a second. If they're willing to take on
insults, and this can get violent. This can get
violent. What the fuck? Yo, this is lame as shit. Okay.
Insults, you dirty ass bitch.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay.
Alright. Look. Okay. First off, Azazel, if you want Popo to judge, I think it's only fair where they can have Dream. It's not going to make much of a difference. If they don't know Popo...
Something that was pre-assigned. It was pre-assigned.
I know, but, like, they don't know Popo. They clearly don't know Popo.
Yeah, the only problem is Tigger knows Popo. Kex knows Popo. On top of that, Tigger, the person who was being
Kex names Dream. Tigger knows Dream.
I talked to him about almost every single one of these judges, and we went through a cycle of some. And the ones that were pre-agreed upon was Jazz.
We just agreed with everyone.
Yeah, wait. Is that?
Loki, Azazel, you gotta recognize this though. You got 3 judges that you kind of picked out. And then Valor had 1.
Yeah, I've only picked Dream. Like,
let him have Dream, bro. It doesn't matter. Let him have Dream.
I mean, I don't need the judges. I'm still gonna beat the fuck out of you anyway, so it doesn't matter. But...
Yeah,
I suggested right now, but you're still getting beat the fuck out.
I suggested Kex, and I didn't say anything about Dave Daly.
Huh? Wait, what?
Oh no! So like when we were picking out judges, I said okay. I suggested Kex because I said, "Hey, Kex is cool."
Okay, we'll sort this out after, right? Because this is like a heavy derail.
I'm cool with Valor.
I have the recording anyway, so
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Just debate. I'm taking control of this now. Back to the debate. I'm not letting you run away. I'm not letting you escape. We are going back to the debate right now, and you are listening to what I'm saying.
No, calm down.
I have a question for you.
There's no need to get.
Okay, we are going back to this because I'm not wasting any more time. I'm not letting any more derails happen. I'm not letting this shit get out of hand. I don't care. We are going back to this debate.
Chill, Valor.
Shut the fuck up, Valor.
We are going back to the debate.
You talking shit this entire debate.
We are going back to the debate.
Nice with you, so I'll be shut
we are going back to the debate, Azazel. I don't give a fuck what you want.
I'm gonna ask the question again. Can you please answer?
Don't answer him, Tigger. We're going back to this debate. I don't want to waste any more fucking time with this stupid shit.
Valor, chill, Valor.
Nah, I didn't even hear your question. You didn't even ask the question yet. What are you even talking about?
Yeah, that's because I can't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
That's because Valor's fucking talking.
Because I want to go back to the debate.
But it's not even his fault. Like this is like retarded point.
We don't need to talk about this. Like holy shit.
Chill, Tigger, chill. We don't need to be
speaking. Do you trust Dream to be a valid judge? Since I don't know, I was gonna ask you the question.
I personally, I've known Dream for about like a good year, and and every time he says debate, he says debate well. Like, so I don't see any problem with it.
Or is my internet absolute dog shit? Because I can't hear him.
He just said he trusts him.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Look.
You got your answer. Now we can return to the debate.
I've also been.
Sorry, Dream. I don't know you. So I was just trying to ask. I was proposing.
Azazel.
Okay.
I've also been friends with Dream for like 2 years now. Very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Pretty chill. Kind of a retard at moments.
Oh my god.
But
making the case well.
We scaled DC, Marvel, and Umineko together. He's alright.
I'm looking for the unbiased part where you can claim he'd be unbiased.
Holy fuck.
Dream. Dream has been unbiased in multiple debates where he's been friends with people and told them that they lost. I'm okay with Dream judging.
Yeah, but I'd like to hear. I'm sorry, Tigger. Me and you are cool, dependingly sometimes, because there's moments like this to where I question that. But I need to hear his headmaster.
Oh, here we go. Can we just go back to the debate? Like, I'm so sick of wasting time.
No need to get annoyed, bro. Chill.
In fairness, Valor kind of does it.
I've been sick since this morning. I want to get this done, and I can leave.
Okay, bro.
Like wasting my fucking time.
Headmaster.
Okay.
I need an answer to that, please.
Okay. I've witnessed 3 debates with Dream, personally. All right. I know.
Yeah.
2 were in Parrots, and now I cannot give you details because my memory is garbage. But I do remember one specific time where even I disagreed with Dream's judgment, and Dream was arguing against somebody he always hung out with. I don't remember who it was. Maybe Dream could answer it for me, but it was on some DC bullshit.
I think you should take him as that.
That's fine. Thank you.
And the 3rd debate, I think.
I was going to take him due to Headmaster's answer.
There's no. There's also no evidence to the contrary. It's just.
Yeah.
Dream is not the type of person to be biased in a debate. It just doesn't fit him at all. I would I'm best friends with Kex, right? I'm best friends with Demi and shit like that. Dream isn't fucking he's like that. He's not biased. That's my word.
Not enough. You have it on your word, so I'll take that. Dream is low-key sounding like a quality judge.
If I catch you being biased, though, Dream, and make me out to be a liar, I'm gonna punch you in the fucking teeth.
Valor, keep trying to get disrespectful, nigga.
Can we continue? Because you're really bad, right? I'm gonna be straight up with you. You're just bad. I am.
This entire time.
Because you're refusing to actually continue. Okay, I'm just gonna local mute you. I'm gonna local mute you, right? I want to continue. I want to return to this debate. I'm so sick and tired of wasting my time talking about that stupid shit. So can we return to the debate so I can actually finish what I want to say and I can go to sleep? Okay?
Valor.
Are we good now?
I'm going to ask you a question. Can we actually move back to the debate without you having some type of attitude for getting put on your neck?
Are we good now? Can I go?
Okay.
Nice. Okay. So my point was, Superboy, when he punches someone, he retcons them, or at least he narratively erases them, and we can see this via the fact that we see the actual. Hang on. We actually see the character themselves devolve via their drawing. We literally see the sketch marks and everything. This is demonstrable, existence erasure on a narrative level, right? Or that's just blatantly a feat of a narrative erasure. So that is my argument, right? And then I justified it further with another scan that talks about how Superboy Prime affects people's stories. That creates a preponderance of evidence to say that he has narrative hacks. Okay? Now, Azazel tried to approach me with the skeptic argument of, Superboy could just be referring to this, and Superboy could just be referring to that. But that doesn't refute my argument.
You seem to consistently commit that. You seem to consistently commit poison.
Judge, where's the moderator? Where's the moderator?
Hello? Where's the
moderator?
That was not my argument at all. My argument was that I felt like that might have been reality warping, and I wanted proof to show that it wasn't. So once again, please stop strawmanning me.
Yeah, what's up?
Where's the moderation?
Yeah, I did. Okay,
look at that.
And it's no, it's more so we should have I believe that we should have a moderator, but a couple of the other judges have already.
But you're not even letting the moderator speak, Azazel. Can you shut up for 2 seconds?
I cannot hear the moderator. I cannot hear the moderator at all. Hold on. Okay. Give me a second.
All right. Here. Let me fix my shit. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Azazel.
That was the problem.
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me, Azazel?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I would say that I would moderate more, but one of the judges has already argued with me about moderations in general and how basically he wants this to progress. We kind of didn't have this discussion before the debate on whether we wanted to be heavily moderated and formal or not. We're just going to lay back and just let it happen. So let's just make that decision now. Are we going to make this? Are we going to have someone moderate so we're not going to hear people talk over each other each and every time? Or are we going to have it where it's literally people are going to just say whatever the fuck they want and just be able to talk over each other?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Every time I call a fallacy when he has something incorrect about me, like what? Should I just let him sit here and complain to moderation?
Okay.
Right. No. When I call a fallacy, that should be put within the current debate topic, since the fallacy now holds the most pertinence to the debate. I do believe there should be moderation to some degree. It's my bad, James. Go ahead. Sorry. I
stepped in. That's not. So I'm fine with the moderator having his input. I'm just saying that the moderator should try to avoid driving the debate in the direction he sees as fit, which was what Tigger was doing. So that's 100%. All I was saying. So that's all I was saying is that because you drove it, you want to end it, which is what you thought was the right way to go, but that may not be what Azazel wanted. So like, I want to let Azazel and Valor drive the debate in the position that they were going to drive it, and instead the moderator doing it for them.
What I want the debate is one where I can actually say my argument without being interrupted, and because if he keeps doing this, I'll just call the concession right now and leave, because that is compromising dialectic.
Also find the concession.
Hang on.
Continue to
look, he's doing it right now. He's doing it right now. He's doing it right now.
Okay, calm down.
I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead. Okay. See, I was correcting myself.
Look at Valor. This is a semi-formal debate, correct? You agree with this?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be cutting offs. You know this to be the case, right?
However, right? If I cannot even finish my argument, then there is a problem. I understand cutting off would actually, like, if I say like, oh well, actually, that's not what I meant. To clarify an explanation, then that's fine, right? Obviously, there's a difference in interpretation, or there's a miscommunication. But just completely cutting me off before I can even finish the argument, you would never know if there's a miscommunication.
Yeah, I know this. I know what you're trying to do. I know what like you mean when you do this. But like, what I'm saying is that I want you to remember that he isn't the only one who's done this debate. You've done it 2 times. So I'm going to ask that you don't be so quick just to draw to the moderator whenever it's not working for you, because you have done it in this debate. I don't want you to sit there and deny you.
I think I've been like fucking picking him up by his neck, but you can continue, James.
Oh my god, Valor. What I mean is that we're in
I'm just fucking with you.
You want that? You want to speak with me like that? I'll put it to you this way. Okay, so I want you not to act like a fucking bitch.
I know
when it's not going your way. Get it?
I know why you spoke.
Okay, now let me explain to you.
James, like, what are you doing, bro? Like, it's not that serious. Like, what's wrong with you?
Whoa, I know why you got so aggressive.
James, what's wrong with you, bro?
If James is one of these judges, like, listen, something's wrong here.
James, what the fuck? No, hold on.
I just made a joke about Azazel.
And all I'm saying is,
whoa, I'm definitely not. If this is how you gotta act, like,
can you please calm down? Also,
yeah, it's not even.
Look how he draws to another moderation as soon as the moderator who was in his favor actually.
No, because I made a joke about you, and James got angry at me. So obviously,
he's making a joke at the fact that this entire time you've been doing the same.
What?
Same thing.
Making a joke about you? Like,
no, you're not making jokes. You're throwing insults at me over and over again.
That is a joke. You think man? It doesn't even matter, man. This is
I don't consider it, like, bro. If I walked into a random person and I called them a nigger, how the fuck they supposed to know?
Okay, that's obviously not analogous to what's going on.
Yes, sir.
No, because it's a joke. It's a joke.
It's a joke. I say that to text all the time. It's obviously not analogous. I'm not even gonna go into that because it's literally like not relevant at all. So it's just obviously not analogous.
If you see I pop it, I'm like, oh, what's up, my niggers? Don't I?
What's up?
We laugh and we joke and we cry. Why? Because
that's can we just go back now? Like, I just made a joke about you to James. Like,
am I supposed to know that every single insult is some type of joke? Is that supposed to take
all right. So look, the main issue here is obviously somebody either having a point or attempting to rebuttal a point, and the other person interrupting. Both Valor and Azazel have both complained of this. All right, so look, this is what I suggest. It doesn't have to be a formal debate, but let a person, I don't care if it's an allotted amount of time or whatever, they say their argument, their point, one point, they stick to that point, no fucking provoking or insulting each other, no cutting each other off, and once that is over, the person B, can respond to that, how they feel, okay? I feel like that's the best way to do this, because at this rate, we all know that this debate will go nowhere, because the incompetence here is... It's very thought-provoking.
Fucking hell, headmaster. Anyway, we can return now. So, as I was saying when I made my argument initially, I'm not unsure if I even need to actually repeat it for a third time now. I'll just repeat it right for clarity's sake.
All right.
So, my argument was that his punches retcon people. Or at least narratively erase them. And we have the feats evidence of this is we see the character devolving in terms of their drawing and that's part of the existence erasure, right? His actual drawing decomposes and it disappears, right? And then I supported that feat with a statement where he says he affects people's stories. This gives us a preponderance of evidence to say And a preponderance of evidence is just like so much evidence that it makes it more likely. It gives us this preponderance of evidence that to say that he's actually affecting this person's story, this person's narrative, whatever. And like I said earlier, everyone in DC has their own story, so this is perfectly fine for him to do. Now, Azazel tried to counter that, and he brought up his own argument, and he said he tried to play the skeptic, and we just went back and forth on that. In no way does Azazel's skepticism actually refute my argument, because he can apply as much skepticism you want. Well, it can be this, it can be that, but it could also not be, right? So the preponderance of evidence just works in my favor. Now, he tried to claim that I committed multiple fallacies, and we went back and forth on that. I'm not going to repeat them, because I don't want to go back into that like fucking sub-point, because it holds no relevance. So I'll let Azazel speak now, and then I want to go to my next point.
Okay, Azazel, you have the floor.
At the start of this, I'll call the fact that he poisoned the well once again, presupposing the argument that I ever made. See, he said that I went down a skeptic argument, showing no proof for something, but the fact is, I never actually finished my argument due to the fact of the continuous interruptions and the continuous claims of fallacies. Now, once again, when we get back to what my the fundamental basis of my argument is, I believe this would be reality due to multiple things being shown. One, like I said in the debate, the fact that Superboy Prime comes from Earth 198, I believe, or it's something similar to that. Do not quote me directly on the Earth number. But he comes from an Earth to where they view fiction as stories. Now, with them viewing fiction as stories, when he hits somebody and he could just be recalling a memory, or he could view this as some type of fiction. But when he views it as some type of fiction, just because he views it as fiction due to him being on a higher plane, doesn't mean he's affecting this on a complete and total narrative level. Now, I'm not saying 100% he is not, nor that he isn't. My bad. That he is or he is not, because right now I'm making a passive claim. I'm saying I'm agnostic on this. Now, I can show proof that not only is he from a world that he views it as fiction, but even at the end of the comic, he returns to this world to where he viewed it as fiction, and he wasn't even sure whether or not everything he lived through was real. Now, with this itself, that was funny, Kex. With this itself presented, this not only refutes the fact and proves the fact that he was just poisoning the well, trying to presume my argument before it was made, but he was also being intellectually dishonest with not only me, but the judges. Now, as in refutation to what you said, hold on, I wasn't done. That was just a light overview of the past three things that were committed within the first couple seconds. Once again, now going on to his actual argument, apart with the evidence that I sent right there, along with the rest that I'm finna grab now, I do believe this would show that Superboy Prime might just be either high tier reality warper or low tier reality warper. I'm not completely sure myself, since I do not know the context but what happens in his past. Now moving on to the fact that let me show you this real quick. When Superboy Prime first encountered these other Supermen of other worlds, he hit them with the scan that we seen then, and he's like, I'm seeing their stories, which I'm guessing he's taking that interpretation and saying that it would be him affecting something on a narrative level. Now, with this right here, this showing that once again he starts flying towards the Batman glass, and he's seeing all these worlds, and when he lands, he sees glimpses of the world that he's originally from. Does that mean he's affecting his own narrative? I have no idea. I believe this is just reality warping, a clash between either two different energies or just two different existences. This is also backed by the fact when he goes to actually hit the Darkest Knight who laughs, it has a ample effect, but it does not show the Darkest Knight's narrative at all. But instead, it seems to be I would say substantially weakening. But once again, I cannot fully tell. But from what the Darkest Knight actually says himself, he says, and I quote, "You can't destroy me any more than I can destroy you," showing that they're at some type of stalemate, which might either mean that it's either a existence standpoint, because by this logic, you'd be saying that the fucking Darkest Knight, who can also manipulate the narrative, if we were saying this was some type of narrative abilities or narrative hacks or narrative standpoint. But if this is the case, so I'm going to propose two things right here. If this is the case, and characters from a narratively higher plane, even if they're not full-fledged from our world, can affect him and they have a substantial more effect on him, I'm fine with saying this. But at the same stance, it's people that exist on the same plane as him or have resonating energies with him or similar reality warping abilities clash with him, and they show some type of disturbance. I think this would be the most logical assumption due to the fact of, through the scans that I've presented so far, along with the statements and along with everything that's been shown, it seems like he's really just a reality warper. Nowhere near in these panels does it ever mention that I'm deleting his very story. I'm retconning his very existence. I see nothing like that. There is a scan at the end though. I'll show this right now. Of it says they killed him and his 52 different worlds was wearing off, and they don't know who did it. I believe if his existence was erased on a narrative level, there would be no longer any memory of him, since erasing it on a narrative level, it would backtrack all the way back to his narrative existence, or his story filled existence.
Are you done?
Okay, hey Valor.
Yeah.
All right, so for the first part of what he said, being about the committing fallacies, poisoning the well, and general skepticism, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel that previously you successfully rebutted it?
Yeah, so I addressed this by explaining how, like, the 3 fallacy named is poisoning the well, like, appeal to reality, and then I think he claimed one other, I don't quite recall, but as for poisoning the well, I explained how his definition of it, and his application of the definition was wrong, and I wasn't actually poisoning the well, and I gave an example of that.
Do you feel that you properly presented that to the judges?
Yeah, and as for appealing to reality, we went over into how it's just a fictional representation of these characters, and not necessarily us actually interacting with it, and that's like just an objective fact that we literally cannot interact with these things. So to address what he said, he literally said, like, in his world he views fiction as stories. That perfectly proves my argument, because that means when Superboy Prime is saying that he can see these other people's stories, he is viewing them as fiction, which would mean when he punches the Darkest Knight, he's still viewing him as fiction, and yet he cannot interact, he cannot destroy him, which would prove that the Darkest Knight has narrative resistance to this, like, narrative effects. These are his own words. I'm just showing how they prove my argument. Then he says when he punches someone, he can just be, like, referring to a memory. He never gives any, like, evidence as to why this would be the case. He just says, oh, it could be the case, right? Again, the skeptical argument. It can be, it cannot be, right? My preponderance of evidence would still go into my favor. I've given the more logically sound argument as to this. And even if it was just referring to a memory when he punches someone, okay, well, when he punches someone, he has this memory of, like, when he read this fiction, right? So he's still viewing this, like, person as fiction. And so he should naturally be, like, transcendent to them, and yet he obviously cannot destroy the Darkest Knight. So again, doesn't like, affect him in any way. He said he believes that Superboy Prime is just a reality warper, a low tier one or a high tier one. He doesn't know enough to say which one it is. Okay, well, I don't care about your belief. I don't care about what you believe. I want an argument as to why it is, right? And no, I don't think any suitable argument was actually given as to why it is this, why he is a reality warper. He just gave his belief. I don't care about belief. I care about facts and arguments, obviously. That's why I'm debating. So him just saying he believes Superboy Prime is a reality warper means nothing when I've given a factual and logically consistent argument as to why he is affecting the narrative. And he says, oh, when he punches the Darkest Knight, no story is shown, even though these other stories are shown when he punches previously. That can literally just mean that can just be like a demonstrable example of him resisting the narrative, like, hacks. Because when he punches other things, the narrative is shown, but when he punches the Darkest Knight, no narrative is shown. That's just a blatant example of him resisting this hacks, or it can be, or is most likely to be, a blatant example. So, and then he goes on to say that the Darkest Knight can manipulate narratives. I don't know why he said this. Thank you for proving my argument. I don't know why he said that, but, thank you for just giving me that, I guess. And he says that characters from a narratively higher plane cannot affect him, or should be able to affect him. Well, that can literally just mean that his narrative is just that strong that it can resist it. Because if Superboy Prime's coming down to this narrative and he's trying to fight them and trying to, like, retcon them, trying to change the narrative, and the Darkest Knight is resisting to this, he even posted a scan where the Darkest Knight says that he cannot kill him. Well, that just perfectly proves my point. And to address that as well, because he posted a bunch of scans, which for someone who doesn't know DC, he sure had a lot of scans, but when he said that, oh, the Darkest Knight, he can't kill him, the Darkest Knight prior to that also said that he doesn't want to expend energy killing him. So the Darkest Knight actually can kill Superboy Prime. He just doesn't want to expend the energy to, or they at this point, because this is a weaker Darkest Knight than the one that kills Perpetua, like, later. This Darkest Knight can just be holding back or not trying to expend too much energy. And we even see in the scans he's posting that, like, Superboy Prime is punching him, lasering him, and the Darkest Knight's not even reacting in any way. He even says in the scan, But I'm not going anywhere. But your story is over. Literally stating how he's going to end, like Superboy Prime's story. Now, I want to. The next point I want to go into is the amount of narrative hacks that the Darkest Knight has. But I felt like I'd be shotgunning if I went into that. So I've addressed everything that Azazel has said. Yeah. I've completely debunked everything that he said, and my arguments still stand. So do you want to say something, Headmaster?
Yes. Okay. So, so this point has been argued back and forth versus evidence and skepticism and whatnot. Azazel, do you feel that you'd like to answer anything he said before he moves on to his next point? As soon as you're done,
I'm going to start off at the beginning to where one, for both of the claims regarding the appeal to reality and poisoning the well, he kept going into arguments, and that's when Tigga jumped in, not allowing me to actually substantiate my side on these. Two, regarding the fact to where he claimed that to where he said that I agreed to the Darkest Knight being able to affect narratives. That's not what happened. If you heard what I said, I said this might be the case, or this could be the case if this is true, referring to a specific situation. Three, claiming the fact that which was a half truth, by the way, where he because the argument where he said that because I remember this, he said that he showed a refutation of the fictional representation part to in response to me showing Superboy Prime's backstory, but I just now provided a scan for that, and that was not what the origin of it was. He half-truthed and took his argument from something else and put it onto something new. See, the original was when I made an analogy saying if in the Strange Things comics back in the 1900s something, Doctor Strange talks to us, the reader, aka us, saying that if he does not succeed in this task, we will all die. I said, for the sake of the narrative, he would be threatening us. He then made the claim that no, this would not be the case due to the fact of that we are that they would only be talking about a fictional representation of us, not the actual version of us. I said he's inserting something into my analogy. He said he was not, and then that's when we started going deep into fallacies. Now, moving on to this. He did just now claim that viewing somebody as fiction is an instant transcendence, essentially. I'm not saying that verbatim, but that's essentially what he said overall, because he said, I believe he was speaking with an analogy how Superboy views over the Darkest Knight and say that would put on a higher plane. If he wants to have that as a verbatim claim, I can have that. If not, we cannot. Two, I never gave ample evidence for either of the points that he's been actually bringing up over and over again, because it's been points to where he's full-fledged interrupted me. Also, he made a statement that TDK can actually kill Superboy Prime. He said that TDK made a statement of this, and I do not remember this. So if he can please show that and support proof of that, I'll be fine with this. Right, along again with the says the Darkest Knight can accept Superboy's story, but I saw once again, I'd like to present ample evidence of this, because this could just be a metaphorical way of speaking of the Darkest Knight, since we've seen things like this before. I can present that if he wants.
Just one point. He's gathering a scan right now of him saying he could kill Superboy Prime. Let him gather that, and once he posts it, you can either address the scan or continue moving on.
I'll continue on and address the scan. I can do both.
Well, I'm just saying, one at a time.
Okay, it's just gonna take me a second to get it, because I don't know if I have it saved.
It's okay. Despite belief, none of these people have anything better to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go open the comic and grab it real
quick.
quick.
Delete your profile picture.
Dream, do you have the scan where
what?
The fucking, because Dream has all the scans, and it'll just save us a bit of time. I know where it is. It's when Superboy and like Darkest Knight are fighting, and he's like talking to him.
Origins. I just looked it up.
No, he's in there. Alright, I need to grab it real quick because I don't have it saved. Let me go on to. There we go. Wait, did you post the Dream? Oh no, someone else just at me in a random server. Visit anyway.
Alright, is that the scan you're referring to, Valor?
Let me look. Oh no, I do have it saved, I think. And you love, what do you do? I can give it a stand, or not to. Yeah, that's it. I prefer not to expend energy to kill you. So he's obviously admitting that he can kill him. So that was what I was referring to when I stated that argument. I believe I had another scan that I needed to drop real quick. Because we were talking about
ample evidence that he can actually affect Superboy Prime's story, and then also you made the claim that Superboy Prime he was resisting Superboy Prime's hacks, and then you tried to use my statement to substantiate that. Headmaster, this is all part of the same point. This is within chain link. He did the same thing within the time he was talking to you, and I literally gave nothing until he was done. So now I continue on. Now, within time that he made this statement that I made the statement, he tried to chain link off of it. Once again, half-truthing my words. See, the actual verbatim behind that is, I said that the darkest, this could be, not even could be, I said, what would this be? Some type of feat that the darkest night can affect his story hacks. But I said, I don't believe that would be the case, because one, if he has narrative hacks, I don't believe, without any proof of the darkest night having any type of actual proof of having narrative hacks, him never displaying anything on his own of this type. But along with this, there's also the fact that I said that this might just be a separate clash of energies, which I asked if you want me to provide a scan substantiate that. But I got no response. In a second, yes. But I said this might be the case due to the fact that we see the darkest night getting substantially weaker after every single hit, and I said scans for those.
Where did you post that scanner that he's getting weaker?
It's somewhere at the top.
Which one? What is
it's where it was like there was things fuming off of his chest.
Oh, that doesn't mean. Okay. Do you want me to explain why that doesn't mean he's getting weaker?
Yeah, please go ahead. Because I have no idea.
So I'm trying to find what you're referring to when you say things are coming off of his chest. I'm looking in order. He posts.
I'm pretty sure I posted the scans.
He punches his face, and then he punches his chest here, and there's energies coming out of his hands. I don't know what you're referring to when you said there's things coming off of his chest, but the darkest night is walking energy. He's literally shadow. That's another reason why I think it's just conflicting energies, because we see here it is. This is what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure I did post this scan, but I'm not 100% sure. So just in case, I'll once again I'll post this right here to the fact of after being hit by here it is. After being hit by Superboy Prime, he has energy coming off of him. You see energy in the side of him coming off of him, which I don't actually recall seeing previously. No, I don't see this energy coming off him unless he's being hit by Superboy Prime, which is shown again in this scan right here. Okay, this is another time. Let me explain
this is two separate times where it only comes off once he's hit.
Yeah, so let me explain the context of this arc, because we already know that the Darkest Night has stated that Superboy just cannot kill him, and he just cannot defeat him, and Superboy. He also claimed hang on. Don't interrupt him. And Superboy, and obviously Superboy held no contention with him saying that. So what this is, because we right after this, he punches him, and he punches him so hard that he literally returns. He either dies, I think, because they say his energy disappears, or he returns to his own world. And right after this, the Darkest Night is able to kill Perpetua and gain massive amounts of strength. So if he was, and Perpetua was equal to him, so if he'd actually gotten weak in here, then that would make no sense. But we know that. So it's unlikely that he's actually gotten weak in here. What is likely, however, is that when he punches him, it's literally just the energy coming off of him. It doesn't have to be him getting weaker. It can just be the effects of the energy coming off of him. The same way, who's a good example? I think what's that dude's name? Fire something? Fuck. I can't remember his name, but he's covered in fire. When he punches him, and the fire effects just go behind him and shit. It's just the effects of him getting hit. I don't necessarily think it has to be him getting weaker, and I don't think there's any strong evidence to support that. Now the other thing you said was I'm trying to remember what you said now. I think that was the main thing. Yeah, the plot hack, his plot hacks himself, so his own plot hacks. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to go into next. So if I'm okay to go into this, then I'm going to move into it, because you asked her about it. So as for his own plot hacks, the Darkest Night is constantly talking about how he's going to end other people's stories, and how their story ends here, and how people below him and weaker than him are talking about how he can taint people's stories. And I can get you those scans if you need them, but they're constantly talking about how he's going to end stories, he's going to corrupt stories, and we've even seen him corrupt the Speed Force itself. So we know he can affect things that aren't even physical. So he's able to affect these stories, right? And in DC, every story, every history becomes one story. It says becoming one history, one story. Every hero and villain combines into one, and they still cannot defeat the Darkest Night. So every story merges together, and it still isn't not enough to stop him. So I can post all these scans and all this different evidence that supports him having these plot hacks and having strong narrative hacks. And that just builds upon, and that provides even more preponderance of evidence and more consistency for my earlier argument that because Superboy Prime and the Darkest Knight have these plot hacks that have these abilities, it just further and further supports each argument I make builds upon the last one, and I can post these scans.
Okay, now addressing the statement where you said that the Darkest Knight said that he didn't want to waste energy on him, and that's why he not killed him. We see he makes this statement before he starts getting thrashed by Superboy Prime, and he says, "I can give it to you. Just stand aside. I prefer not to expend the energy to kill you." Superboy Prime then responds with, "Like you could ever. No one can." And then he taunts him while he's thrashing him through everything. Come on. He blasts him back after Superboy taunts him, and then Superboy hits him in the stomach, saying, kill me, I'll kill you." Then once again, you see him continuously getting his ass beat, and then I'll show the scan, by the way. Let me just grab this for you real quick. It should be right here, literally right here. Yeah, it is. Thought so. You see that scan, and then you see him standing over the Darkest Knight saying, and I quote, "Yeah, I beat your sorry." And then he says, "I think I've won." And then I feel his power. It can be mine. And then he goes on to talk about how he could just steal the Darkest Knight's power right here. And then he says, Crypto the dog. I think that's his name. Crypto the dog. And he says, "You get out of here, you stupid mutt." I said, "Go." I don't think that's relevant at all. And then this is where the Dark Knight goes to make that statement after seeing Superboy's power. "You cannot destroy me any more than I can destroy you, so let me help." And this is when he starts trying to coerce Superboy Prime into rather being on his side rather than fight against him. And then Superboy Prime then goes to throw that haymaker. And we can call it retcons, we can call it reality warps. I don't really care what we refer to as right now. We can get into that second. And this will be proving that the claim that you just made earlier, you would actually be it would really be something similar to a fallacy of quoting out of context, because you only use this statement, and you like anytime it brought up, and I brought up these type of statements within consecutive line to each other. For my remembrance, you never actually said when this line was statement, and then when I brought up the fact that he said this previously, you refused to address that, and you continued to make this statement. But we can get into that in a second.
Can I refute that?
Then we go into the fact to where I've been waiting. I've been saving all my fusions until now. You can do the same, please. So I do believe he did think this ahead of time. Oh, this is also said where he was saying that yeah, your story ends here. He says this previously before Superboy Prime begins beating on him, and I no longer believe that this does not show. For a second, I did believe this is narrative hacks, but Superboy Prime pops up and he says, "You've out." So what's his name? Darkest Knight says, well, Prime, seems there's a little more to you than I thought. Isn't there a very funny one?" Superboy Prime then jumps up, laser beams.
Wait, finish that quote. Finish that quote real quick. I need you to finish that quote. I don't want to interrupt you. You need to finish that quote.
Well, Prime, seems there's a little more to you than I thought. Isn't there? You're a funny one.
No, there's more to that quote.
I will post the scan. That is literally the exact quote.
So hang on.
And if you want to claim there's some type of intellectual dishonesty here, or any type of motive, appeal to motive, no, that is the quote.
You're a funny one. Let me grab that real quick, because
I literally just sent the scan. That is the quote, and that is only the quote.
You're a funny one. Now at the bottom, he says, "I'm not going anywhere, but your story is over."
I was getting to that. If you would allow me to continue on.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was literally reading out the entire scan. That's what I've been doing this entire time.
No,
Headmaster, I do believe that is an appeal to motive. I do believe that is an appeal to motive that has been shown incorrectly.
Azazel, I'm not going to argue with you.
There's literally no rat. I started reading on what Superboy Prime was saying. There is no rat.
That's not. No, you were.
It says, "Go on and laugh at me." That's what I literally started up.
No, he says you were just overstayed your welcome. That's what he said.
Exactly. You need to let me finish before you try to refute my arguments. Therefore, presupposing my argument again, aka poisoning the well.
Bro, I'm gonna start packing you in a minute. Oh my god.
Go ahead and try to pack me. Go ahead and try to pack me, nigga.
No, because I want this debate to progress.
Calm down.
Next time,
I'm gonna get the packing headmaster in a second.
Go ahead and try to pack me, nigga.
Alright. We're going back in time.
I finish, headmaster.
You better slow that tone down.
The what?
That tone you got? Cool it down.
But the tone stays the same, because if he's going to continue to try to address me like I'm under him or some shit, then he's going to get addressed like this. This is not towards you, headmaster. I have no quarrel with you.
I have no quarrel with you.
Go back to read the quote.
Oh, shut your dirty ass up.
Shut your bitch ass up. I don't really start to get to packing you,
nigga,
bitch.
you're the one that's
vile, you stupid bitch. I'll really play the fuck out you, stupid bitch. I really slap you.
Talking about, oh, I'm sick, I'm gonna take a shower. Bitch, you said you've been sick all day and you
said don't ever talk to me like that again. Don't ever
Shut up.
Do not ever talk to me like that.
Shut up, both of you. Shut up, watermelon.
Look at you, Tigger.
Shut up, both of you. Shut up, you. I'm telling you, both of you, shut up.
He said he was gonna start trying to pack me. He tried to pack me.
Yeah, I know. You guys are both retarded. I'm not saying that you guys are not equally retarded here. You guys are both equally retarded.
Master.
Yeah, okay, Tigger. Yeah, I know you're not talking. No count.
May I continue the argument, please? Without headmaster, I'll continue my down. So, my bad. I just heard you now. So I just heard you speak now.
Go ahead.
Continue. Okay. The Darkest Night says, well, Prime, seems like there's a little more to you than I thought, isn't there? You're a funny one. And then, by the way, that's when I called the poisoning the well and the appeal to motive. And then Superboy Prime says, go on and laugh at me. He hits him, and then there's obviously a sign of damage there with because earlier he said that we see Superboy Prime laser eye him and hit him, and it does nothing. But there's obviously a sign of damage there, given the fact that he's groaning out in pain, is what I can only assume. Prime says, you've overstayed your welcome, and then Darkest Night quickly responds with, oh, I'm not going anywhere, but your story is over. Then he makes that claim. Then in direct and directly after this claim, I thought I posted that. What? There we go. Superboy Prime promptly hits him and says, I said laugh. Batman who laughs. Oh, I'd never laugh at you, boy. What I meant by funny is we're not that different, you and I. And this is where he once again starts trying to cohort him into working with him. And then this is when the Darkest Night once again almost got his hand up. He almost got the upper hand in battle, saying that he's just mentally debuffed his opponent. But then this is when it actually goes into the previous statement, which was mentioned, where he says, I want darkness in everything and you. What do you want anymore? What do you want anymore, Superboy? Okay, I said it right the first time. I can give it to you. I can give it to you. Just stand aside. I prefer not to expand the energy to kill you. Once again, showing coercing and cockiness, which is in his character. Like you could ever, no one can. Come on. And then this is where we talked about something earlier, to where Superboy Prime taunts him, he gets hit in the face, and he just responds once again like this. This is consistent without their entire fight, with Superboy ending up winning with either quote unquote retconning him or quote unquote reality warping. Now moving on to his secondary claim, because he made four other claims that I have a problem with, which is he claimed that Perpetua is equal to the Darkest Night. I'd like a prompt answer from this so I can figure this out. Are you claiming that Perpetua is, like, when you say they're equal to each other, are you saying in direct succession after this events they're equal to each other?
No, after this, he's the Darkest Night is definitely stronger. He literally, like, says he killed Perpetua, so I mean, even even shows that fight, and like he's like literally killing her. So I actually need to show this. I needed to like no. Hang on, I need to like address this because that's a different point entirely.
In like a small argument.
I need to
because this actually goes into statements that I have from. I haven't made any claim yet. I'm rebuttaling the claim you've already made. I haven't made any type of claim.
Okay.
I haven't made any positive nor negative claim. There's nothing for you to refute.
We need to solve this before we move on to that.
There's nothing for you to refute.
I'm not letting you shotgun me.
I haven't made a
claim.
Nobody shot Headmaster. He made multiple claims within direct concession of each other over and over again. And now that I'm actually going down these lines, he's trying to interrupt me.
Is it two separate points or arguments?
Yes. The Perpetua scaling is different from the
because he I can literally send you my notes from this, because I have a whole channel of my notes for everything that he's been saying.
Scaling to Perpetua is different entirely.
I'm not addressing the scaling. Like you said, they were equal. Now I'm going to present a small argument rebuttaling this. Since you made this claim, I'm going to rebuttal this claim that you've made. So it's my turn to rebuttal this.
What is the claim he made?
He claims that Perpetua is equal to the Darkest Night, or the Darkest Night is equal to Perpetua.
That's my next point that I wanted
to move on. And I want to rebuttal this, since he's already had his chance to make the claim. He could have substantiated when talking to you.
Valor, you said that. What about versus Perpetua? What did you say?
I said, and my line of scaling is going to be that he's like scales to Perpetua, right? because that's the next point that I wanted to move on to, because I thought we were going to be done with this. We should have been done like 30 minutes ago.
So the point he's trying to rebuttal, you're claiming you haven't started yet.
I haven't started because I haven't given my evidence for it. I haven't given like the detailed argument for it yet. No, I just said.
But he has made a claim for it, Headmaster.
This is the next point that I want to move to.
The reason I'm eliminating that is because once you try and rebuttal this, he's going to counter rebuttal with all of the evidence. So getting the evidence and the stronger argument out of the way will eliminate a few minutes worth of bickering.
And I just want to like refute this argument.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. I'll move on to his next claim then.
What? I need to refute.
He claims that.
No, if you have his points written down, let him get to this one point at a time. I know if he claimed it all and in succession.
Within talking to you, this is all within succession. There's multiple claims that he's claimed while talking to you all within succession. This entire time, I've been addressing them.
Okay, for all these claims, just list the claims. You said you have them written down. What are all the claims?
Yeah, the last 3 claims is he claims that he claims that the Darkest Night, because of statements, has the potential to end people's stories. I was just going to refer back to what I said earlier to address that. Okay. He claims that the story is likely being. I say that I was going to make the claim that story as a word is likely being used as a noun and provide and put proof for this, aka making my claim and providing evidence. And then he also claims that the Darkest Night has plot hacks, which I was going to ask him. I was going to ask him to substantiate while showing evidence of me never saying something.
Okay, 3 claims. Valor. Have you given evidence?
Yeah, I addressed all that. I posted the multiple scans that say he contained end stories,
which means I should be able to attack them.
So I posted. If you scroll up, I posted. So I posted this one that says like he summons stories from the dark multiverse, manipulation of stories. I posted another one where it says he taints stories, manipulation of stories, and I posted another one where he tells Perpetua her story ends there. I'm where your story ends. So this is all again, and then I referred back to my old argument of how this makes even more consistency and preponderance of evidence for him having narrative packs. And now because I'm like forgetting now because he misquoted me and I wanted to address it really quick. That's why I was trying to like sort of cut him off. Cause
when was that?
I'm trying to remember now because everyone kept fucking talking like. He kept talking. I couldn't.
Was this a while ago or something recent? Because I can
that was
it. You remember?
So you talk about how Superboy. You're basically arguing that Superboy is actually winning this fight. It doesn't really matter if he's winning or not. And all that matters is that the Darkest Night scales to him, which he does. And I can show that.
I didn't misquote you on that. I never made it. I said I made the subjective claim that
bro, he was winning. Shut up.
You're the one who just made a claim that I misconstrued what you said.
Shut up.
You literally made a claim that I misconstrued what you said.
Let me speak. Shut up. Let me speak.
Listen, I'm going to say this again.
I don't care. I'm gonna local mute you. I'm just gonna local mute you. Bro. Okay. So my argument, right, or what I wanted to correct you on is that it doesn't matter if he's like losing or whatever, and even if he was, I can still scale him above in his durability because Superboy Prime, when he punches him so hard that he literally dies, and it's said that the people down who are watching the fight say, whoever did it, he's dead.
Okay.
And the Darkest Night survives this, which is all that I wanted from this. And obviously I have my my other arguments.
What did y'all say?
This point, all right. This point. Do you feel like you had a good job? You did fine presenting it, and to the person opposing it, do you feel like you rebutted it correctly? If so,
yes. Can we move on now?
We leave it to the judges to decide. What is the next point? The next claim that Valor made, I believe.
Yeah.
And Valor, if you have not given your evidence or your argument, Azazel will tell us what that claim is, and we're going to let Valor try and present his evidence and give. He claimed
that story. He said that he claimed that he had narrative hacks and then showed multiple successions of evidence to where story is being used, and he's saying that's proof that he has narrative hacks. And I was going to be refuting this.
Okay.
So he's already provided evidence.
The reason I say
this would be my turn to be on the offensive here.
Okay, Valor.
He's already made the claim and provided evidence. This is my turn to actually refute it.
I haven't gone into detail on these scans. You just asked me to post them. You never like.
No, I did not ask you to post anything. You've made this claim on your own.
You asked me. You asked for evidence. You asked for the evidence. So I posted.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. I have it on recording. Don't argue with me, Azazel.
Yes, I said he hasn't shown anything that done this. I didn't tell you to post anything.
All right.
Shut the fuck up, misquoting me.
Okay, if you're saying I'm not posting, that's an implication of me to post it.
I said you haven't shown anything yet, not an implication to post it.
So that's asking for me to post it implicatively, okay?
No, because if you didn't post it, it'd be in my favor, dumbass.
What? Oh my god, shut the fuck. Azazel, what did I just say? What did I just say?
You called me a dumbass, which...
I didn't call you a dumbass. What did I just say?
Yes, you did.
What did I just say?
When? What time?
Okay. Obviously, you're not listening to me. What I said.
Obviously, I'm not listening when I asked what time. What time, Valor?
Yeah, ask me a question and then doesn't let me finish. Wow, Azazel, good job, you fucking retard.
No, because you just sat there.
What I said was what you said is implicative of asking an implicative question. You saying he hasn't posted anything yet is implicatively asking me to post something, because obviously I'm not gonna have any evidence if I don't post anything. So yes, that's an implication of like asking me to post the evidence, which I did.
And if I say past tense, you haven't posted anything, and obviously if you don't post anything, it would be in my favor. Why would I want you to post something?
Okay,
actually
because obviously that to me that's an implicative question to post something, so I did post it.
No, you just made a claim that it was, not to you it was.
What?
So it's a subjective or objective, Valor?
It doesn't. You know what, Azazel? It doesn't matter, because I'm not gonna let you derail this fucking conversation anymore. I'm not gonna let you derail this conversation anymore. So you're gonna sit down and you're gonna listen to me now. I'm taking control of this conversation. Do not loud mic me. Do not, you stupid bitch. I'm ready to get you packing, you dumbass, you stupid motherfucker, you stupid cunt. Why the fuck do you think you're big, Azazel? I don't know why you're getting big with me like this.
Yo, come on, guys.
Now shut up and let me speak.
So when you make a claim, Valor, I'm going to address those claims, and that's how this debate is going to work,
when I
Valor.
speak, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying when I speak. Okay, good little boy? Okay, you're going to listen to what I'm saying now. So when you ask, when you say that he hasn't posted any evidence, that is an indication for me to post something. So when I post it, there we go. Are you conceding? Like...
No, okay, I said nice. You refuse to progress the dialect.
You're the one refusing to progress the dialect. Do not rap with me, Azazel. I will make your life so fucking bad. Do not rap with me, you stupid fuck.
Shut your dirty ass up, Valor.
You stupid cunt. I don't know where you think you're getting this from. I don't know where you think you can do this.
Bro,
I've been so fucking civil with you. I have been trying so hard. I have been trying so hard to progress this debate, and you are refusing it every single time. You are just refusing it at every single time to progress this debate. So no matter what happens, I am going to continue this debate. I do not care what you say. I do not care what your contentions are. We're going to progress, and I'm not going to let you sit there and flounder about and dish out all over this place. You are going to listen to me, and you are going to progress this debate so I can go to sleep in the next 30 minutes. Because this debate has already been an hour long, and it feels like you bullshitting around. So we're going to listen to me, okay?
Watermelon. Oh my god.
Are you going to refute it, or are you just going to sit there?
Watermelon.
Oh my god!
Both of you.
Oh.
Shut up, man.
You're like Bubbles. No, Bubbles is better than you. Bubbles is so much better today.
Oh, Valor, come on.
Oh my
god. Shut up, Valor.
No, I would take Bubbles over Azazel any day. Like,
Valor,
I hate this dude.
Come on. Just finish, Valor, just finish.
Okay.
Dog water.
So, like I was saying, right? I posted these scans that all give preponderance of evidence to my claim that he can manipulate stories. It's just like there's just a massive preponderance. So any skeptic argument that approaches me, it just kind of falls apart in the face of the preponderance of evidence. You could try and nitpick each individual piece of evidence, but as a cohesive whole, they are so strong and so logically sound and consistent with each other that any it could just be a noun. It doesn't hold any weight, because within DC we've seen just so many massive amounts of all of these different conceptual statements. I've literally given you the scaling for him being a platonic being, of all of these different high interactions.
We never got into it.
It was the first point I made. You never had a problem.
We never got into it though, because we went into your secondary claim.
I did have a problem with
it. I said I would address that. We can get into it right after I finish putting you on your neck on this one.
Okay. Sorry, bro. I didn't know you were putting me on my neck, you stupid
Headmaster. Now I'm going to go over the... Hey, bro, shut your bitch ass up.
Shut your dirty ass up. You work at Burger King, bro. Don't you work at Burger King, you stupid bitch. Don't put me on Krabby Patty, you stupid fuck. You big ass bitch. Man, your mother got her back broken by Bane. Don't ever talk to me like that again, you fuck.
You ass bitch. Like, shut the fuck up, Valor.
Bum ass bitch. Don't flip me a Krabby Patty, you stupid bitch.
Neither of you are
friends have had to jump in to try to save you over and over again, bro. Shut your dirty ass up, bro.
Nasty
If
ass.
you give this recording to anybody who does not have obvious bias towards me, and I guarantee they're going to vote with you.
You stupid dumbass bitch. Don't ever talk to me like that again.
Shut your dirty ass up.
Shut your bitch. Stop fucking talking, Azazel. How do you love your voice? Like, oh my god.
He makes the claim that when they use story and history, they were talking about the actual comics instead of talking about story as the noun. when I say this, I mean the progression of events, which is history. And when they say that, they refer it to story. I also think when going over TDK, The Darkest Night, they're referring to story as in the series of history or the lines of events that progress. I think this would be the most logical case. Why? Due to the fact of when it says that when everybody emerged, I do believe it did not merge all the villains and heroes into each other. It might have, but I have no idea. This is why I wanted to make this claim and see what his reputation was, but he continues to try to failure proceed.
Okay, so what I was saying in that instance, right, that they're merging all these stories together, is it literally says that they're becoming one history and one story. I don't care about your belief. It could be, it could not be. That's a skeptic argument. We go off what we see and what we know, so that's what I'm going off of.
I'm saying I'm going off the most logical interpretation, Valor.
Bro! Anyway, so I've given that consistency as to why it would be like their stories, even though it literally says all their stories, everything we've done, good, bad, all of it, becoming one history, one story. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it means that all stories are becoming one history, one story. I think that's pretty fucking obvious. So I don't even need to really address that, because by definition, a story means like a piece of fiction, a piece of like fucking narrative, and that's what's happening here. So I don't even need to go into that. I don't care what like your argument is, because it's just not going to be like more logically sound than this, because there's a preponderance for this and there is a logically sound argument and interpretation for this. So we can move on, because I don't want to waste any more time on a narrative argument when we spent the last hour arguing one point.
Alright.
We're 56 minutes. Actually, no, we're 1 hour 17 minutes in, because my first recording cut. So I've had to split it into 2 recordings.
Alright.
Okay. Nice.
There we go. You done?
I'm done.
Okay. So, on this point itself, let me double check if you made any other prior claims that I'd like to refer to, because I feel like I refuted that almost as best as I could with a lack of knowledge on this verse. Upon your claim of TDK has plot hacks, I'm just going to refer once again back to the fact of there's never actually been a feat shown of plot manipulation nor anything of the sorts. There's only been a very vague claim of your history. Your story ends here, and with this claim of that his story ends here, he continued to get the fuck beat out of him, with we seeing no prior affection, because as we saw when the fucking Superboy Prime hits people, he can see flashbacks of their story and he just makes them disappear. But when the Darkest Night is hitting people, we've never seen him say that he can see flashbacks of people's story or he can make them disappear. Only time we've seen something similar to this was in one of the I don't even know the name of the comic, but it was something to where he would put on the fucking little visor and he could see in the alternate worlds of Bruce Wayne, and he was like, oh yeah, I can see their story, which I don't believe would be.
Okay, that's an argument from ignorance.
That's an argument from ignorance.
Yeah, you're saying just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean it can't happen. It means it can't happen. That was your argument.
That's not what I said.
That is what you said. That's not what you said.
That is not what I said.
You said
at all.
We don't see this happening, so it's not this.
I brought up multiple types of evidence on instances where it should have happened, but it didn't. Right. I just brought up multiple types.
You're saying because we don't see these stories in the background that it's not plot hacks? That's what you said? That's an argument from ignorance?
I'm saying since the plot hacks that have been presented within DC have an implication of them, either somebody saying they can see these stories or some type of fucking depiction that they can see these stories.
I've already given you the implication, yeah? Well, I've already shown you him saying he can affect stories.
And the implication I've successfully debunked. And
you can think that, bro, but you won't be getting very far with that. I can tell you
that. You can think that, bro.
Oh, so you just like lost your ability to speak. Interesting.
All right.
I mean, yeah, bro. With the amount of brain cells I've been losing when I originally took you as a civil person,
I am a civil person. You're just being very like retarded.
You're definitely not. From the beginning of this debate, you've been being very hostile towards me when I've literally said nothing except
because you're annoying questions. Me.
Like because I'm annoying. Yes, I asked you a question. I annoyed you. So sorry.
You've been derailing the debate nonstop. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Let's continue.
No.
Because I'm not gonna let us derail anymore. I'm not gonna let us derail anymore. All right.
So
taking control.
Yes. All right. So just pack these up in a file and send it over to me.
Is the point of it being an argument from ignorance, Valor?
Yes. His point is an argument from ignorance.
Okay. Explain why it's an argument from ignorance as best you can, and then Azazel, after he's done, You respond, and then you two move on from that, and it's up to the judges.
So it is an argument from ignorance because he's saying
Fine.
it does not show this, therefore it is not this. But that is an argument from ignorance because the prior, like the A leads to B, right? The A does not need to be shown in order for it to be B, right? That doesn't need to be shown. Just because they don't show, just because one person, when he punches someone, shows like the narrative in the background or whatever, doesn't mean that when someone else who has plot hacks does it, it also has to show that. Those are those do not have to interact the same way, and there's an argument from ignorance to assert that they have to. Okay, especially when I've given contextual evidence and multiple different statements from other characters and him explaining that he has this ability. You just look like a clown when you say that, like, he has to be doing this. Okay?
Are you done?
I'm done.
One, I'd like to once again call. This time I'll just call it a fucking half truth again, due to the fact that he cut off because within direct succession within my fucking argument, I said that once I said that we haven't seen anything that represents this, any type of depiction or statement besides the one that was obviously being more referring to history. These are within direct succession. Now, when moving on to this, I continued on saying that previously in this comic we see people when they such as Superboy Prime, when they do some type of form of quote-unquote narrative hacks, that it's they start speaking about the story, or they start speaking about how they can see this shit. But for the Darkest Night, we don't see anything similar, nor any statements that back this besides the one that was previously made. And I believe a statement without feats is not a statement with contradicting feats, and which is why I brought up that somebody hit that within the same story, somebody hitting someone is they was having some type of narrative effect on the other. I believe that this statement that he's presented without any type of feats within the same comic line, not within another, would be a sort of contradiction that just would show some type of ample evidence that he does not have plot hacks.
Alright, so I need to make a clarification. I said argument from ignorance, I meant argument from silence. I always get those two mixed up. And to then address what you just said, you claimed it's a contradiction. Contradictions are logically impossible, they cannot exist. So I don't know why we would take your argument, which creates a contradiction and is logically impossible for it to exist, over mine, where there is no contradiction, and my interpretation would hold a higher value.
Okay. Azazel,
Headmaster, can I address that?
Yes.
Wait, can I address that?
I just said yes. It's an argument. He said it's an argument from silence, and then went on.
Oh, thank you.
Address it.
Okay, so I'm going to address the fact that, one, he said that contradictions cannot exist, which I very much disagree with. If an author makes a statement upon the workings that it's been made off of, or if a statement is made but not balanced by ample feats, such as somebody saying they're outer versal and only being able to destroy a building, and we see a statement that this is also their maximum potential, that would be some sort of a contradiction. Now, once again shown, once again pushed on later, we see an author make a statement that a character is this high, but we see within the comic that they're only so and so strong. That would also be another contradiction. I do think contradictions can exist.
Okay, so let me address that real quick. Let me address that because I need to address that real quick.
Is an expression of a conclusion that's based on an opposite of statements and historical documents. Now, my only problem is I'm not saying it's based on an absence of statements. I'm saying it's only based upon a statement and it has no feats to back it. Now, with this said,
let me address that.
Properly refute.
I'm going to address that. So you said that you think contradictions can exist.
I feel like the whole contradiction thing is another point that's incoherent to the debate.
It definitely is coherent because it is refutation to my argument. So it definitely holds relevance. You're saying that someone could say that out of versal, and then they could say that their maximum potential is only destroying a building. Well, that just means we can explain that as them just lying, right? Because if one contradiction exists, all of them can exist because there's no difference between contradictions. If one exists, all of them exist. It violates the laws of logic. If a contradiction exists, it violates the law of logic. It cannot exist. Just period. It just cannot be there. So
can you provide another analogy, Valor? I don't understand that one.
You don't understand that? Okay, I'll speak a bit slower and I'll speak a bit easier for you then. So
I feel like it's because it's not slower. I need a different analogy because that one seemed to be incoherent.
I'll give you another analogy. That's fine. So imagine, right, that Doctor Strange said he can lift a car, right? And then we see him try and lift a car, and he can't. Now that looks like a contradiction, right? But we can interpret that to abide by the laws of logic. We can interpret that as him simply overestimating his abilities, and now there is no contradiction, and that fits within the laws of logic, because the laws of logic are absolute. We cannot break them in any way. Like, because if you break one, you can break all of them. And if you can break all of them, nothing exists.
There is no contradiction, showing that there used to be a contradiction, which means contradictions can exist unless a new line of logic is applied, which means they do exist. It's just some of them can be debunked and more pushed to another more sound. A contradiction defines as a combination of statements, ideas, or features in a situation that are opposed to one another. So, once again, if Doctor Strange says, I can lift this car, and we see with that throughout an entire comic run that he could only lift a dumbbell, and at the beginning of the comic he said, I can lift this car, and at the end of the comic he barely moved up from the dumbbell, I do believe that would be a contradiction.
Okay.
Now,
and the reason, right, that's not a contradiction.
New line of I am not done.
Because you're wrong, and I need to correct you really quickly.
Line of logic, which will make it no longer a contradiction.
It was never a contradiction to begin with. It was never a contradiction to begin with. Then,
yes, it was.
If you explain it that way, it was never a contradiction to begin with. We just didn't have the answer at the time.
Disagrees with the features. And I didn't preemptively make your argument, but just in case, I made sure to include something in my analogy that refutes exactly what you said. I said, at the beginning of the comic, he says he can lift a car. At the throughout the entire progression of the comic, he's only lifting a 5-pound dumbbell that is only slowly being lifted, and he's struggling with it. If this is the case, and at the end of the comic, he doesn't make it over this, and at the beginning, he says he can lift a car, this means there would be a logical connection between his muscle mass, aka what he can do, and what he has been shown to do.
Okay, so that was never a contradiction to begin with. It was just our explanation was poor. Because a contradiction, like I said, physically cannot exist. Because if one exists, all of them exist, and if all of them exist, nothing exists. Because if the law of non-contradiction cannot exist, then the law of identity cannot exist, and if that doesn't exist, then nothing exists, and obviously that's not the case.
What is the law of non-contradiction?
Two opposing things cannot contradict each other, or two things. Let me just grab the definition for you.
No, incorrect. It's
the law. Hang on. Law of non-contradiction.
Contradictory positions cannot both be true in the same sense. Not that they cannot.
In logic, the law of non-contradiction, also known as the law of contradiction, principles of non-contradiction, states that contradictory propositions cannot both be true at the same time, at the same sense or at the same time. E.g., two prepositions. P is the case and P is not the case are mutually exclusive. So in this instance, right? Hang on. In this instance, listen to me, because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Listen to me. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Listen to me. You do not know what you're talking about. Listen to me. You don't know what you're talking about. Listen to me. You do not know what you're talking about. I'm more educated than you on this. Let me finish talking.
Correction.
Are you just okay? I'm just gonna local mute you. So, what the law of non-contradiction, right? It proposes that two propositions, contradictory propositions, cannot exist at the same time. So the first proposition is that he can lift a car, and the second proposition would be the fact that he cannot actually lift that car. He's struggling to lift the dumbbell. Those are two contradictory propositions. So obviously they cannot exist at the same time. So we have to eliminate that contradiction. And the way we eliminate that contradiction is by explaining it in a different way. Oh, he was just overconfident. That solves the contradiction, and it keeps the laws of logic consistent, because they are consistent. They are objective. They are the only things in existence that actually are objective. The law of identity is literally the perfect example of that. And that's why the other laws are there's only 3 of them for a reason. Oh, what the fuck are you doing, Kex? Anyway, that's why the law of no contradiction can actually exist. It is forced to be this way. And that's why we have to abide by it and explain it in this way. Okay? Now, I'm going to unmute you now.
Oh, look at that! Have me muted.
I did have you muted because you're interrupting me all the time.
Headmaster, we can just go to conclusions with this, because I've already ample provided evidence on why the law of non-contradiction would actually back up the fact that contradictions can exist. Would directly debunk the entire thing of the Darkest Night.
Okay. Going over the laws of logic. All right.
Okay.
Are both of you comfortable with moving on, or does someone have something to address?
Moving on. Azazel doesn't know what he's talking about.
We can move on. I'm good. He can say that I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Go ahead and present your conclusion, Valor.
Okay.
Who conclusions or moving on to another argument?
Moving on to
two different things.
Moving on to because I need to once I get this perpetual shit out of the way, we can just
I just want to conclude on this point because I feel like this has been a series of points and subpoints that just should be closed now.
So my conclusion on this point overall is so this all started. This has been like an hour-long point for no reason, unjustifiably. So at the start of this debate, I simply claimed that, okay, he has plot hacks, he is able to affect the narrative, and I gave ample evidence as to why he's able to do this. I gave the multiple scans that says he can affect the story. I gave the multiple scans that he can interact with the story. I gave him fighting someone who can also do the same. And I've given multiple arguments proposing the preponderance of evidence for my argument. Now, what we just talked about was fucking stupid, because obviously the law of non-contradiction holds absolute precedence above all things. That's why contradictions cannot exist. So as I explained, contradictory proposition is proposition P and say proposition
listen, Q. Major.
Proposition P and proposition Q, right? So proposition.
Major, I'm going to continue to call this
proposition P.
Something he didn't bring up in the debate.
I literally explained it in the debate. You fat fucking loser! Shut the fuck up, you stupid cunt! I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you. I don't care. I do not care. I do not care.
Stop.
So I'm gonna finish my conclusion now. So
look, turn your fucking camera off.
My proposition P. Proposition P is that okay. He can lift the car, and proposition Q is that he cannot lift the car. Obviously, one of these is true and the other is not, because they're contradictory and they cannot exist at the same time. So we see him not be able to lift the car. So proposition P is wrong, and proposition Q is the one that is true. I explained this in the debate. I gave my argument for this. I literally verbatim explained it. I don't know why you'd rat like that and be intellectually dishonest.
Okay, Valor.
Yes.
No, stop.
When you're present in the debate.
Stop. All right, Valor. You have this recording, correct?
Yeah, I have the recording.
All right. So, you understand that if this point goes through, and it's not on the recording, your entire side is going to be invalidated on that point, right?
I have the recording, so it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the assumption that he said it, and the judges can act so. If Azazel really doesn't think that he brought it up, the recording can and will be posted.
Well, even if I didn't say P and Q, right, my argument would still stand, because what I argued was that two contradictory positions cannot exist, right? I argued that, okay, he says that he can lift the car, and we know that he can't lift the car. So what we would do is we would explain it in a different way that allows for the
I can no longer hear Valid talking, so I can't tell whether
I need
he's
to
doing
local
anything or not.
Azazel real quick. That would explain the contradiction away, and we would have to do that because the law of non-contradiction says that two opposing propositions cannot exist. In this case, these are two opposing propositions. That was the analogy, right? And he tried to say, okay, well, here's the contradiction, and a new line of logic would have to be introduced to it to get rid of that contradiction. And what I said in response was, it was never a contradiction to begin with, then, because from the very start he was just being overconfident, right? And we would never have we'd only come to that by explaining it that way. It was just like that from the beginning. It's just we explained it that way later because we were trying to solve the contradiction. You know what I mean, Headmaster?
All right.
I'm gonna meet him now.
All right.
Let me write those down real quick. What's up?
Are you ready to respond?
Okay, yes. One there I originally called illicit major due to the fact that he brought up something that was main, or something that could have could provide an ample proof to his argument, something that he did not bring up during the debate. It's a premise that he brought up in the conclusions. In the debate, he nowhere near brought prop logic into this, nor did he full-fledged refute my analogy. He only did that within the conclusions. So I do believe that should be brought up. The second illicit major occurred when he once again brought up my analogy and tried to refute it in conclusion, something where he did not refute it the exact same way or under the same lines of logic, such as saying that the poisoning the well part, this is actually where this chains in, to where he said that I said a new line of logic would have to be applied. During the debate, I said the way that he applied it, a new line of logic would be applied, but it does not erase the contradiction which we poisoned the well. He's presenting something about me that is either not true or something that I could say in the future, but it's something that I did not, to corrupt the image of me. Now moving on to the actual conclusions on this point. Question, Headmaster. Are we concluding on the entire debate? The entire debate of
no,
that
this
point?
you said at the beginning of this, concluding this point, and we're moving forward this.
Now we're moving on to the fact to where he brought up the law of non-contradiction after saying that contradictions do not exist at all. Now, with this, he went on to promptly say that contradictions cannot do not exist. We can just simply provide more reasoning for it, which would basically prove it to be not a contradiction. Within response to that, I said during with his logic, the contradiction would still exist. It can just be reasoned with. Now, then he brought the law of non-contradiction, stating that, let me grab this verbatim, that he says that the law of non-contradiction says two contradictory things cannot exist, but when presented with the actual law of non-contradiction, where it says that contradictory propositions cannot both be true in the same sense at the same time, which is not saying that two contradictory things cannot exist. It says two true contradictory things which are opposing each other cannot exist at the same time. So back to my analogy, if Doctor Strange cannot lift this car, which is true, he cannot, because he's only been shown to lift this dumbbell, which is true. Well, non-contradiction does support contradictions existing. I didn't say two opposing, but it doesn't matter. Now, with this in case, it's a law of non-contradiction does indeed support the fact that a false contradiction and a true contradiction can exist at the same time, then that's fine, which it does due to the statement that it states that a contradictory proposition cannot both be true in the same sense at the same time, which means it can be at a past tense, in a different sense, or in the future sense, future tense sense, which is fine with me because I never made any two true statements that were contradicting each other. I made two statements that one was false and one was true, which is what I defined earlier as a contradiction.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Let's approach the actual scaling first. Valor, are you taking the floor?
Yeah, we can go over that now.
Also, just for the future, so we don't get into this anymore. All right, so this is how the format should be. All right, Valor and Azazel, write down any claims that you think the other person makes. Okay, and once those claims are out of the way, you start one by one on them, and back and forth. That way, it doesn't get no, you're retarded. No, fuck you. No, fuck you. Know, because
the entire time. Cool.
Yeah. So Valor, make
Keep
your claims.
shit down.
Make your claims, and then as you write them down as you go. All right. Hopefully, Azazel does the same for his own memory's sake, and that way you'll go one by one and provide your evidence and talk over each individual point. Okay.
Valor, can you please repeat that? It was something about the Darkest Night. You kind of lagged for me for a second. Okay, thank you. Sure. Sure. Is that it? Where's the rest of these scans that you were talking? I need people to stop fucking typing so I can see. The one where you said one that those in the overvoid fear him, two that let me double check this shit. Okay, that's the only one you're using. Okay, so I have one question really quick. Okay, also have that. Mr. Mix Piddlewicks. No, it's fine. I'm used to having Jester sit there debate next to me. That's the only reason I have this much knowledge on this shit. And I used to do light reads when arguing with Jester. Was going over the fact that okay, so you said that since TDK can destroy the multiverse, and turn it into nothingness, then he'd destroy the God Sphere, correct? Okay, thank you. I'll address that. Oh fuck. Ow. So it's gonna take me a second to find this because I think I have it somewhere in this scan server. That was TDK's in plan actually. He hadn't reached that much power yet, but that was his in plan once he finally got rid of the heroes. He was actually scared of the heroes, that's why he had to get other heroes to fight for him. My bad. He had to summon 52 different worlds with Dr. Manhattan's powers to corrupt those worlds, to create evil heroes, then get the evil heroes to fight for him just to hold off the heroes while he slowly gained power to be able to finally rival Perpetua. Yes, I can actually show you that. Just give me a second. Um, just give me a second. I'll find that. Here it is. Yo, can y'all niggas stop typing in chat for the one time? Like, god damn. No, I got a dream. Thank you though. Right there where it states, and I knew I could only keep the heroes on Earth at heel for so long, and the Amazon will rebel and cut me down. And so she did. They're into the story of the Batman who laughs, but I'm not the one who laughs either. Not anymore. Now this is back that when he finally starts going over the story of Dr. Manhattan. No, the story of Batman, Dr. Manhattan. I don't know what to call him. Sorry, I got that confused for a second. There was also a statement to where he stated immediately that he didn't have the power to actually rival Perpetua. He had to slowly accumulate that, is what I'm presuming. This was when he gained the Bruce Manhattan's lab, Bruce Manhattan's body. Oh, where? I have a scan for that also. Yeah. He creates the 52 worlds to feed off the energy, right? Oh, no, he created them. I have the statement. He created 52. He created 52 worlds filled with a bunch of other worlds Superman does not destroy us. I'm aware, but this is the like maximum we've ever seen his reality warping. That was just my response to the whole fact that he had to create heroes to hold off heroes. That was my proof of that. Since you made the claim that he can. So at the same time, if we know that this was the Darkest Knight's end goal, yet he never reached the potential of doing that since he was still gaining the power to do this, and he wanted to with. No, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I will also grab that. I will also grab that. because there's a statement contradiction that he says wait, I might be wrong here. Give me a second. I swear this was somewhere in here. Oh yeah, here it is. He said, as if I was the dark, and so I reach out and feel the dark multiverse as if I were, if it were all a part of me, actually showing a representate, like a more of a representation. He's not actually it. He's not representing it, but he feels like it's part of him due to his now semi omniscience. Yeah. Is there a scan after that or something? He says that's my thing. He says he will be, so he hasn't reached that potential yet. It's the same time when he started revealing his plans to us, to where he started. He said how he was going to corrupt the entire multiverse and destroy everything within it. Okay, so this is supposed to be the time where I'm refuting the prior claims that you made, not when you're adding on more and more claims for me to address. Yeah, but you're not now. You're making another claim. You just made a claim that he actually did do this, something that you didn't bring up prior. No. I said you just made a claim, not referring to prior before. That's what I'm talking about right now. The claim that you just made. Yeah, one at a time. How you made 3 claims in succession when you first started off this point, and now this is the 4th one. You made one claim. My bad. It was more than claim. You made the claim that the god spear has a platonic realm. You made a claim that you said he can destroy them. I'm addressing this right now. That's exactly what I'm addressing, and currently you're going against a thing that was just previously agreed upon. Yeah, I have them say that I'm going to refute all of these, and then you're going to do the same thing that I just have to sit through and do this entire time. Say again, I'm going to refute all of these, and we're going to keep going through these in succession. You can grab the evidence for whatever you want to do after I finish this. No, we're going to go over. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're going to go over this. So we're not wasting time. We're going to go over this instead of you trying to derailing so you don't get debunked on this point. Ooh, damn. So once again, no, I'm on track. I'm refuting the claims you previously made. You're not going to move me off of these. If you move on without me, you'd either be falsifying a concession or moving on without my permission.
All right.
Take whichever one you want. So moving on to the one to where you said the TDK can destroy the multiverse, therefore he'd be able to destroy the God Spear. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look for the statement where it said he can destroy the multiverse because I still haven't found that one. I know you posted it, so you're gonna have to give me a second. I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's something that I've already passed up. Maybe no, that one's not it. That's scroll. Is this the one where he says he'd destroy it? I think this is where he's just rambling on. The new Wonder Woman go look to me, but I couldn't do it. No, that's not it. Stop making claims. Shotgunning. Thank you. I don't need that. I'm going to find the scam. That's fine. That's Forca. No, I did not. I said I know you sent it. Give me a second to scroll and find it. Bro, Forca, you've been posted. Like, bro, I've been looking at Forca scams this entire time. Holy shit. So I'm not listening to anything you're saying since I'm looking for this. You can record, but I'm not ignoring your points. You're right now just shotgunning over and over again. Shotting gun? I said shotgun, my nigga. Fair enough. My fault. The seagrass, she will live long enough to match me, to watch me set the sun on the multiverse. I was wrong. Maybe it's a little bit farther down. You will submit, you will fall, blah 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 blah. I'm also okay when the multiverse turns to nothing. Okay, cool. This kind of contradicts his previous plans that we've already went over, but that's fine. So let's just say for a sec, he never actually got the potential and the power to be able to do this. By the way, then why didn't he do it? Why didn't he do it? Why? Because he still needed time to gain power. Last time I checked, because Perpetua wasn't at her. As I remember, Perpetua wasn't at her strongest strength. No, because you're making claims upon claims upon claims upon claims upon claims. So you're going to sit back and let me finally make my. The dialectics, shotgunning, failure to progress the dialectics. I don't know how you have to say this shit, bro. It's so retarded to say this shit over and over again. It's shotgunning and failure to progress the dialectics. He's bringing up multiple points. Yes, I know, Headmaster. You told us to just write them down and go, but when I try to make claims, he continues to do the same thing that you just told him not to do. That's insane. Like, this shit is so retarded. I'll accept that.
Okay,
Thank
so
you. Catch.
I told him to make claims, right? God. Make the claims, and for both of you to write them down, and then after he's done making claims, to address them one by one. That's exactly what I said.
Look at this, bro. When it was him doing it, he had no problem. But now the moment I'm actually starting to refute, he's trying to cut me off so I don't shut it down. This is so retarded, bro. I didn't ask for anything. I haven't asked you for anything. I literally said I'll scroll and find it, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. You're giving me a migraine. Holy fuck. Like, bro. Like, this nigga's fucking sped.
All right, well, shall this be inconclusive then?
I've literally called multiple facts. Bitch, you've been wanting this entire debate. Shut your faggot ass up, you dirty ass bitch.
Is Azazel talking? I can't. If so, I can't hear him.
Kex, just leave.
Okay.
It's so fucking retarded, bro. Also, Headmaster, I called failure to progress the dialectics and shotgunning because that's exactly what he was doing, regardless of whether he just previously agreed to your words. Do those go through? Yes or no? I'll push that off. So you're gonna claim you're gonna claim a fallacy in the past. Sure. Yo, Headmaster, do they go through? Yes
or
no? Do they go through? Yes or no? Do they go through? Yes or no? Do they go through? Yes or no?
Both
No, I do not. Do they go through? Yes or no?
Okay, what are you asking goes through?
So it'll progress to dialectics and shotgunning, since you kept bringing up multiple points there.
What were you? Hold on, Azazel. What were you doing? What were you in the middle of doing when you started doing it?
I do it exactly as you told, as we both just agreed to. I'd write down the claims he made, and I would address them, and he'd do the same. Now, when I started this, starting off the fact that,
if I may ask, what point, what singular point did you address first?
That he can destroy the multiverse and turn it into nothingness, and since the God Sphere is contained within the multiverse, he'd be directly erasing that. And I began to take that.
And he at that time had not posted his evidence, correct?
Oh, he already had.
Okay.
Yes, you did. I literally scrolled up and got it.
Valor was making multiple claims, which I told him to do, and then address one by one. What Valor? What scan in question was being posted for your evidence?
That he didn't. He just said he didn't. Intellectual dishonesty. Hello? No. See, that's my thing. You just said that you didn't post a scan directly to the judge when you did. And then when I said no, you didn't. When I said yes, you did, you said no, you didn't. No, you just literally lied to the judge's face, nigga. You literally lied to his face. Oh, I said, no, I did not, bro. I said, did you post a scan? You said yes. I said, then I'll scroll and get it. I did not. You just said that I asked for it. Making so many fucking claims, bro. You've made so many fucking.
My God. Okay. Stop.
Master, you just gonna let this nigga sit here and not only commit intellectual dishonesty, but the past fallacy still hold?
Both of you are just
shut your dirty
Bergs. I don't care.
Calm down, bro. Valor.
Both of you are being completely completely unreasonable.
Headmaster, I haven't been disingenuous this entire time. This nigga's been capping and sitting here lying and ratting since the beginning, and I keep trying to keep it 100% real with him.
Okay. If you two are so done with this, then shall we go to conclusions? Inconclusive.
Bro, I'm okay with ending this entire debate right here and sending his off to as many judges as I need to, and I guarantee all of them is over. There's no point to go to conclusions, just like Tigga said. Why even, bro? This shit is so fucking retarded. I can send this debate to as many people as I want, and I guarantee almost every single one of them is going to judge shit in my favor. Why? Because not only did he commit a preponderance of fucking fallacies over and over and over again, it's also the fact that he's been debunked over and over and fucking over again. This shit is so retarded, bro.
Okay. Azazel's obviously confident that he's proven whatever the fuck this is.
Bro, shut your dirty ass up,
nigga. Are you equally Yo. All right, Valor.
Like, bro, go take a shower, bro. You said you were sick. I know you're sweating, bro.
Valor,
I know you're making your fucking screams breath out, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. Yes.
All right, I'm muting Azazel too because he was literally interrupting me when you weren't even speaking. Valor, are you confident that you've proven your point or pushed whatever you're trying to push? Okay, and you have the recording. Would you be willing to post the recording in this chat after you get it done? All right, send the link to me and the judges who probably, in all honesty, won't judge. All right, I'm flipping the coin. All right, I'm flipping the coin. I'll let Azazel, heads or tails? Azazel, heads or tails?
Fucking heads.
All right, it's heads. Choose. Do you want to go to conclusions first, or do you want him to go to conclusions first?
He can go to conclusions first. It doesn't even fucking matter.
All right. Yes, this is definite conclusions. You're going first. This is the end of the debate. Don't bring up any new points. And Azazel, don't interrupt him.
No, he did not. Look at this nigga reaching for a fucking stalemate.
Okay, Azazel, please give your conclusions.
Holy shit, this is going to be a ton of fallacies, so I need all of you guys to pay attention.
Yeah, me too. What happened?
Holy
What's
fuck.
going on?
Yeah, no, it's the awaiting endpoint glitch. Just ignore it.
Alright,
Alright, Headmaster.
Oh, you're in here.
Over this.
I'm retarded.
Yeah, I'm finally back. No, it's fine. I started disconnecting hella hard. So like I said, pay attention because it's going to be a shit ton of fallacies and it's going to be a shit ton of incoherent arguments brought up, but they're still worthy to address. One, my premise was that Gwenpool beats the Darkest Night. Two, his premise was that the Darkest Night beats her. Now, I do believe we both failed to proceed this, so everything will be judged off rhetoric, regardless of whether he says, because the way that he bring it up would be an analogy of a sense is that Ooh, my bad. I can't refute that. Okay, so
wait. Could you talk a little slower, please?
First, the very first thing that happened is when he brought the scan of Superboy Prime, quote unquote, retcon punching, I said, I feel like this might be reality warping due to showing up the fact that there is very.
Hex, can you not join and start laughing like a faggot?
Oh shit, I thought I was on mute still. What?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Big breath. Take your time.
Holy fuck. I'm trying to remember.
You're
Hold
good,
on.
bro. You're good. You're good.
Fuck.
Take your time.
I have to reconstitute my fucking brain cells. I have to wake them up. Okay, so it all begun off an appeal to reality, which is where I said I gave an analogy to which he misconstrued it 3 times. Keep that in mind. I gave an analogy that if Doctor Strange from the Strange Tales, which is in the 1980s or 1900s, looked at us, the reader, and talked directly to us, the reader, and said that if he fails this task, our life would be in danger. I said if this narrative was true, which it would be if this is the case, then him saying that due to laws in our reality and that it's objectively true that we that they cannot interact with us, that would be a appeal to reality due to the fact of contradicting how the nature of the appeal to reality works, which is a fallacy that I remember being credited towards just fiction. We went over this earlier when we said it doesn't have a verbatim definition, to where I posted I think it was a copy and paste from dictionary.com or some shit, to where it states that taking any fictional setting out of its narrative and trying to apply real life logic to it without a base assumption would be what's it called? An appeal to reality. I think I can find this for a second. You got to give me a second. I'll just have to type in the chat and appeal to fucking reality.
If I may, while you're doing that, may I ask Valor a question? It doesn't pertain to anything in your conclusion. Valor, are you there?
What? Sorry, I wasn't.
In your conclusion, did you bring up any fallacies or subpoints?
Obviously, to be honest, bro, I forgot that was all front loaded at the start of the debate, and I just fucking forgot half of that shit. But we obviously in like those sub conclusions we talked about it, didn't we? So
yeah, all right, it's fine. You got the recording anyway.
I want to post this so everybody can see it. Here it is. Have to scroll up an awful bit. I'm gonna just delete this up here and repost it back down here. There we go. I should just reference that. That's retarded. The appeal to reality fallacy is that it's whatever that basically states whatever the fuck I just said. I can't remember right now. And when we started arguing over what an appeal to reality was, to which he said that we should go into justifying our definitions of the appeal to reality after asking me where I got my definition, and I saying that since there's no official definition, my bad, no, him saying since there's no official definition, why are we even arguing over something subjective? I said because we can take 2 subjective things and argue which one would be more logical. Now, once he finally accepted this, we went on to he went on to then talk about what he thinks his definition would be, which would be applying real life logic to something that lacks it, or something similar, or something that reasonably lacks it. That's at least what I interpreted it as. To which then he said that he would be disproving my argument with this, which an argument that I had not made, and then I said that'd be poisoning the well. He said my argument would obviously be within opposition of his, and I said no, because if he would have actually let me go through with my argument, I would have been agreeing with his, but adding things on, which shows that it would have definitely been poisoning the well. We then went into argumentation over whether fallacies actually matter to the debate. Then I brought up saying that I believe in the 3 fallacy rule, and once you commit 3 fallacies, it should be an immediate DQ, seeing that for having arguments that lack anything logically sound and continuing to try to pound them out, it would be suitable for there to be punishment for it. This was later pushed into him saying that he thinks this is retarded. He thinks fallacies are coherent to the debate, but not within the way that somebody should be DQ'd for them. That would be retarded. They should should be used at the end of the debate to determine whether or not somebody's argument holds at all, basically saying that there's a fallacy in the argument, it should fall. I, once again, saying I believe in both of these, but I said he essentially conceded to what I wanted, which is true, by saying they were coherent, which means even though he was calling compromising dialectics, we would actually be proceeding on with dialectics and should be extremely relevant to the debate, considering the fallacies can determine whether an argument stands or not. Now, with this on, he went again to poison the well when presenting this to Tiggy and them, saying that I once again had made my argument for the appeal to reality, for my definition of appeal to reality, and how he debunked it, which isn't what actually happened, by the way. I never made my argument, to where promptly after that, after we argued over the poisoning the well again, I then went on to explain what my definition was, which was exactly what I posted: taking a fictional setting's narrative out of it, taking a truth in a fictional setting and taking it out of preponderance, or I use some word right there, taking it out of evidence or taking it out of its narrative to try to apply real world logic to it, to which I believe that would be an appeal to reality. And if that's the case, then I was right. Now, once again, we move on past this because we spend the rest of the time arguing, and we finally make some ample progression, like something that he qualifies as progression, not me. And he tries to bring up an analogy to where this was to you, Headmaster, to where that he said to me, saying that his background is from Earth 1938 or 1988 or some shit, 85. He responded that it would only be fictional representations, which was a straw man of the situation, a straw man of my argument, and pointing the well again, presupposing my argument, since he stated off that was my argument was being, which is also a half truthing of his fucking of how he actually responded with that fallacy. My bad, not with that fallacy, with his argument. No, he responded to that with my analogy, like I brought up earlier, to when I brought up my analogy of the Doctor Strange, when he responded it would only be fictional representations of us that it's actually affecting, to which I promptly answered that he would be inserting things into my analogy, since I never said that they were fictional representations, which he could have just said it was an analogy and dismissed, but he did not. Now, this was moving on to he says his retcon punch, or at least he retcons you with his punch, or he at least narratively erased people. He sends one scan and then sends a second scan to back with a statement. He says this is the preponderance of evidence. Then he goes on to commit another poisoning the well and being intellectually dishonest with me, to where I ask him a question. He promptly responds, unlike he responded in the past, and then responds again. That is in the recording. I do not believe I should have to do that again. We then go on to his claims after this, to where he claims that I lied about knowing a lot about DC, to which no, I never said I knew a lot about DC. My bad. I know a little. I said I don't know much. I don't consider knowing some minor verses much. And then he goes to claim that Superboy has a higher narrative, to which I said I'm fine with accepting, and I'll apply that to Gwenpool. And then that was just the end of that. He claims that oh my god, holy fuck. He claims that the Darkest Night made a statement that he can kill Superboy, which he shows it saying that he doesn't want to expend the energy, which amply provided proof for that. Then when confronted with this, we go into the actual debunk for that statement, which is, hold on, give me a second, I'll remember it in a second. Holy fuck, I remember now. He goes on saying that I went on showing that actually within their way of proceeding and talking to each other, Superboy Prime, from my point of view, was actually dominating him and disproving everything that the Darkest Night was saying, which is shown in the recording, obviously, which I showed to Headmaster during the debate. And this is later moved on to with us going again. He said this is where he starts going into claiming that TDK has plot hacks, which I previously believed that I debunked. Then I went into show my reason on why why the story within the way that it was saying would be being used as a noun, not the actual word. and with it being used as a noun would show that it's actually altering history through reality warping, not narratively deleting anything, which means you have no proof of having plot hacks. Then he goes to try to call an argument of ignorance, promptly gets debunked due to the definition and due to my justification. Then goes to call an argument from silence, to where argument of silence is based upon the fact to where I'm I do believe it has something to do with me either ignoring statements or only saying because it lacks statements. And this was just untrue to the situation, to where it actually wasn't I wasn't saying that it lacked statements. I said that it lacked feats. Yes, an argument for silence is to make it's to make a conclusion based on the absence of missing statements. But that's not what happened. I said it was missing feats and the statements were contradiction. Then he went to say that contradictions do not exist, to which I promptly responded saying that I do believe contradictions exist, and then I went into the debunk that I said prior. Then we went into the law of non-contradiction, to where he frankly replies as evidence for him being right that he has more knowledge than me, to which I promptly deny, seeing that the definition was right in front of me. And I felt like I got it right, seeing that he said, and I quote, the law of non-contradiction says that two contradictory things cannot exist. Now, the actual definition of the law of non-contradiction would be that two contradicting truths cannot exist. Or for a better definition of it, I'll read the actual thing out. It states that contradictory positions cannot both be true in the same sense at the same time, which, like I said earlier, means that they can be true within different senses at different times, such as my analogy when Dr. Strange said he could lift a car, but he's only been shown to lift a 5-pound dumbbell or a 5-pound weight. At the beginning of the comic, he said he could lift a car, and we see through the progression of the comic at the end of the comic that it was indeed a lie. It was contradicted by the actual contents of the comic, proving that contradictions can exist, which we were in turn debunking his entire line of scaling previously, since he based it all upon something called so-called a contradiction cannot exist. Then he went to poison the well again with me, saying that I said that contradictions cannot exist, and that my bad, contradictions will exist, but you have to apply a line of logic first, which is not said. I said he gave a reasoning saying that contradictions don't exist because you can apply a line of logic that will basically erase the contradiction from my interpretation of what he said, which the recording can vouch for that. But indeed, what was actually proven is that contradictions can exist, and through the way that he was putting it, contradictions can exist, but they can be reasoned with or laid out, which means they did exist previously before the ample amount of knowledge was acquired. Now this moves on to him saying that this is where the new point came in, since I'm kind of not covering some of the other things. Headmaster tells us to headmaster, aka the moderator / new judge, tells us to essentially, while we're debating, let each other talk, write down each other's points, and essentially move on, address these over and over again as long as we show the evidence for them. And he does this. He my bad, he does not do this. I do this while he's making these claims, and the moment I go to refute the claims, he instantaneously backstabs this preset rule and betrays it instantaneously. When I call, which was failure to proceed the dialectics and shotgunning, which is what he was doing, because he was bringing up not only more claims, but he was also refusing to answer my prior question. It shows that not only did he just complete and totally backstab this, he actually never properly refuted my failure to progress the dialectics. He just said that he had a problem with it, and he never properly refuted my shotgunning, my claim of shotgunning, because he once again forgot to bring it up because he was too busy trying to bring up new things. Now, within this exact same fallacy, Headmaster, when I asked him if it would be valid, Headmaster says, "Did you show proof of your claim of valor?" He says, "No, I did not." Then right after, at least like 5 to 6 minutes in, he claims that he did show proof, essentially proving the fact that he was being intellectually dishonest with both me and the judge. And then he says, in a justification, that I asked for it. And that's why. But then when I bring up the fact that I did not ask for it, I asked him if he had already posted it, and then I said I'd scroll up to get it. He said it doesn't matter. He was grabbing it for me, which once again shows intellectually dishonest, him just incapable of being able to tell the truth, which essentially once again shows fallaciousness in his arguments, which he cannot make a coherent argument without lying. Now this goes on to him during the debate. He also made a claim of I cannot refute these properly, but I can do the lightness of them, which since I brought them up, which he makes a claim claim that in the God Sphere, the people in the God Sphere are scared of him. I asked for that. He makes a claim that they refer to existence as the multiverse. He never proves that. He makes a claim that Gwenpool has nothing similar, and if she did, she'd be passively erased. He showed nothing to prove that after making the claim. So these are just claims with no substantiation, claims that can be dismissed. Then in conclusions, this is where we get to this. He goes to say, not only does he basically lies to the judge again when he tries to backtrack what he said after I exposed the fact that he lied directly to the judge's face. He says no, he did not, and once again stacking on the intellectual dishonesty. Then he brings up the Darkest Knight's narrative abilities and actually starts substantiating them within his conclusion, which would be an illicit major. Then he goes to say how the Darkest Knight can destroy stories, and he says that he showed feats for that, which would be an illicit major and intellectually dishonest again. Then he said that, see, this one is actually a half-truth and an illicit major, because he said that since he corrupted the Speed Force, he can corrupt Gwenpool, which he said that he brought that up to the debate, which would be intellectually dishonest, half-truthing since he only said half of that, and an illicit major since he did not bring up that last final nail in the coffin during the debate. Now this went on to the dark side thing would be an illicit major, but he himself said that can be dropped, so I have no problem with that one being dropped. But frankly, I feel like that's all I need. That's literally everything I need.
Okay, so is that the end of your conclusion?